Hi. When it comes to communities, be them online or in person, that revolve around positive thinking or the law of attraction or spirituality or consciousness, sometimes there's a bit of a slant where anger is perceived negatively. It's very common that if we're in the process of trying to become more enlightened or more spiritual or more positive, that we start to view anger in a very negative way. I do, however, think that while anger is a lower vibrational emotion, like it certainly isn't joy or love or acceptance, it's definitely a lower vibrational emotion. Anger does serve a very positive and powerful purpose for everybody, including you, including me. And I think when we rail against anger, we cause ourselves to feel a great deal of guilt and shame if and when we find ourselves in a state of anger. So I want to give you a few thoughts that I have on anger, about why it's good sometimes to get angry, and how anger serves us. So if you happen to find yourself in an angry state, you can remind yourself of these things so you feel at peace with the fact that you're angry, which will in turn allow you to get out of the anger quicker without revolving yourself into a state of shame or guilt. So here's the thing about anger. Anger is, yes, a lower vibrational emotion, but it is a step up from depression and despair. And hopefully you haven't experienced those emotions on a grand scale. Some people have. But if you're in a place of being really just feeling hopeless, that's just such a hard place to be. And anger in a moment where somebody's maybe feeling the tendency to go lower can be a very helpful thing, because anger has something that depression and despair doesn't have. It has power. Someone who's angry is holding on to a bit of their power. In fact, a lot of times they're holding on to a lot of their power. And I go so far to say that they're actually holding on to optimism. Because if they didn't feel on some level that things could be better, they wouldn't get so mad. If they didn't think it was possible for their relationship to get better, or for the money to come, or for the job to become better for them, they wouldn't get so pissed off about where it is. So anger, to me, implies that on some level a person has hope. It also implies to me that that person is alive. They're feeling their life force to the point where they're not letting it drag them into a place of despair. And this is a really important thing, I think, that will help kind of shift how we interact with people who are angry. Because a lot of times we get annoyed with people who are angry. We'd actually rather them be depressed, because if they're depressed, they're not like in our face screaming and yelling. But a person who's angry is actually in a much higher state than a person who's sad, or a person who's really kind of at their wits' end with life and just doesn't know what to do. So anger, for a lot of people, is the stepping stone. For all of us, it's a stepping stone out of a place of very extreme sadness, grief, depression. It's a stepping stone to get you from that place into the higher realms of emotion. So anger is a valuable tool. When you find yourself in anger, give yourself a break. You're using it to help lift you up. It's a sign that you have hope. It's a sign that you have optimism. The trick is just use it to keep climbing up. That's all you have to look at it as. And avoid feeling bad about it, because if you start feeling shameful or guilty about your anger, then you go from anger back down into depression. Then you have to come back into anger, and then you feel guilty and shameful again, you go back into depression. A lot of people have that cycle, and they can never really get up out of anger because they feel bad about being angry. So remind yourself, anger is a good thing. It means that I have hope. It means that I'm optimistic. And if you can remind yourself of that, you'll allow yourself to transcend into an even higher state of vibration.